Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, wherever you might be in this world of ours. Welcome to Emergency Management Associates, coming to you from the Area Command 392 miles west of Kitty Hawk Beach, North Carolina. We want to welcome everybody to our show tonight. This is Preparedness Friday. God bless you all and thank you for being here. As we've been doing for quite some time now, we're going to start off this evening with a salute to the United States of America. We're going to hear from the Barbershop Quartet Convention host, the Pledge of Allegiance, and after that, the Army Barbershop Quartet will favor us with the nation's national anthem. Would everybody please rise?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now would you make welcome straight from Washington, D.C., the United States Army Corps Quartet.
Yeah.
Oh, say can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Oh yeah! Come on, folks, let them know it.
America's finest, the United States Army Barbershop Quartet, performing at the Barbershop Quartet Convention in 2015. We appreciate these men doing this for us. We appreciate all of our military forces, wherever they might be around the world, also our allied forces, wherever they might be. God bless them all. May they all return home safely to their families after their tours of duty end. God bless you all. And I mean that. Folks, we have another program jam-packed with information. But before I get going on that, I had a doctor's appointment a few weeks ago. And my radiologist had some concerns. So he sent me to another radiologist who did a bone scan today. I went into the hospital at 9:30 this morning, left about 10:30, came back at 12:30, and was there until 2 o'clock. They did a complete bone scan head to toe on my body. That result of that test remains to be seen. The radiologist at the hospital will go over the pictures and see what we have, and he will be talking to my own doctors about the prognosis for further treatments, or if there's any change in my cancer diagnosis. But again, another cancer bone scan today. I had some issues that the doctors have been reviewing. I don't think it's anything to get shook up over right now. But there were some issues. We're addressing those issues, and it still remains to be seen where we go from here. At this point in time, I still believe I'm in remission. That is the good news. But I wanted to let you guys know what's going on. Now, before I get going here any further, I want to go over some earthquakes that happened since we last met. Okay? I'm going to show you the USGS map. Okay? Let's just briefly go over the earthquakes around the country and around the nation. Or not the nation, the world. Okay? We're going to be talking about earthquakes in the United States, and specifically Cascadia tonight. We're going to be talking about emergency preparedness. We're going to be talking about some issues with our country that may affect all of us. Okay? So hang in here with that. Now, over here in the Fiji-Tonga region, this is Fiji East. Okay? Fiji East, nearly Tonga. Okay? They claim this is Fiji. Okay. Fiji region. This is a large 5.0 earthquake. Okay? This is also a very deep earthquake. 367 miles deep. That means this earthquake here is going to propagate a 6.2, 6.3 very strong earthquake. A shallower, stronger earthquake. This earthquake here, a 5.0, 367 miles deep, is going to propagate a much stronger and shallower earthquake sometime within the next 72 hours to 10 days. We saw last week, or we saw this week, what happened to those earthquakes that we talked about the week before. Okay? We got smacked around over in Vanuatu and Solomon Islands. With this earthquake here, this is a 4.7, also in the southern Fiji region. This is also a deep earthquake, 316 miles deep. Again, a 4.7. This is going to propagate a 6.0 earthquake. So now we have two 6.0 plus earthquakes that are going to happen as a result of earthquakes that hit here in the Fiji region today. These are not the only earthquakes that hit. Okay, I want to make sure everybody is aware of that. I want to show you something else. Okay? Okay? Yes, the USGS tells us about some things, but not everything. I don't believe they have the capability to tell us the truth about anything. Okay? And before we go any further here in the South Pacific, I want to take you back here. Okay? Back up here to the North American continent. Right in this area right here. Okay? This is New Brunswick. New Brunswick, Canada. This is a 1.73 minor tremor. A 1.73 minor tremor. Okay, why are they doing that to me? Hold on a second, guys. Okay, I've got it. Hold on. This is a 1.73 magnitude tremor up here in New Brunswick, Canada. 1.73. This other earthquake right here, this is Quebec. La Pocatière, Quebec. It's a 2.07 magnitude earthquake. 2.07 magnitude earthquake. That's in eastern Canada today. Okay? People say, Ron, why don't we ever see anything in eastern Canada? Well, guess what? I had to go to the European map to be able to show you that. Because again, the USGS map is not telling us the whole truth. And as I have told quite a few people before, and I was told a long time ago by my own father, if you don't only give part of the truth, you're lying. If you only give part of the truth, you are lying, because you're withholding the truth. Withholding the truth is just as bad as an out and out blatant lie. You can't withhold the truth. Now, I want to go down here into southwestern Australia. Again, we had an earthquake yesterday here. This one is in Fayetteville, Western Australia. It's a 1.66 magnitude earthquake. 1.66 magnitude tremor. Okay? In Australia. Just northwest of there. This is off the coast of Broome, Western Australia. This is a 2.76. This, folks, is a 2.76 right there. A 2.76 off of Broome, Australia. Now, why are we having earthquakes over here off of Broome, Australia? Particularly right here. Okay? This is the same location, folks, where 2 years ago we had a 6.5 magnitude earthquake off of Broome, Australia. Okay? Now this area is populated, guys. People actually live in this area. People felt that earthquake. It wasn't that far off the coast. I think it was 25 miles off the coast. People in Western Australia felt that. Okay? Today, what did we have? It was simply a 2.76 minor earthquake. A 2.76 minor earthquake. Okay? This is the second earthquake we've seen here in the past month. The other one was just a tremor. This one is a full-blown minor earthquake. We will see what happens as we continue through the next few months. Is Western Australia going to get hit again? If so, where? Okay? We've seen earthquakes in this area go up to 4.5. We've seen earthquakes in this area in southwestern Australia go up to 4.5 before, during the past 4 years. Over here, on the other hand, in this area here, we had a 6.0 about 2 years ago as well. This is southeastern Australia. So that remains to be seen what will happen in Australia. Now, I want to show you something else. Look over here in south central Indonesia and the Philippines. Look at all those earthquakes in south central Indonesia. Then look at all the earthquakes over in the Philippines today. Okay? In the Philippines, guys, we've got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14 earthquakes in the Philippines. 14 earthquakes in the Philippines. Down here in south central Australia, we have about 11 or 12. Okay? That's again not all the earthquakes that have hit. It's just not. Now, I want to show you something else that happened during the night. And again, we do not have all the earthquakes here. They've taken them off the map. Okay? Let me back the USGS map off of here. And I'm going to go over here into the Indian Ocean. Okay? Here we had a 5.6 magnitude earthquake in the Andaman Islands. Okay? In the Andaman Islands north of Sumatra, Indonesia. That was a 5.6. Down here in the central Indian Ocean, we've had a 5.9, 6.0. And I think it was actually 6.4. It remains to be seen, and I will check again by midnight to see what they have to say for themselves about this earthquake. Okay? It's not a 5.9 like they say it is. It never is. They like the 0.9 society so they don't have to admit to a large earthquake. That's why they do this. They say this is a 5.9, I'm saying it's at least a 6.4, if not larger. Like I said, we'll know more about midnight. Okay? But what you need to know, guys, between these two earthquakes in the Indian Ocean, it was a very, very, very busy night. This area rocked and this area rolled. Now, does everybody know what the antipode of an earthquake means? What does it mean if I tell you there's an antipode of an earthquake? Does anybody have any idea? The antipode of an earthquake is like there's a tunnel between one large earthquake and another area. There's a tunnel between this large earthquake over here and another complete separate different area. Okay? Now, I want to tell you what happened over there in Indonesia last night. It rocked and rolled all night long. 5.0 and large earthquakes hit literally all night long there in the Indian Ocean. The antipode for these quakes, guys, is another story. It's a completely separate story. Okay? I'm going to show you where the antipode for that quake is. Okay? Some of you might be just a little surprised. Okay? Let me show you something. Okay? Right here. This is the center of the Indian Ocean right here. This is where that 5.9 earthquake is. Okay? I'm showing it to you on the big USGS map. The antipode for that earthquake, hold on a second, they did it to me again. The antipode for that earthquake, guys, is down here in southern Mexico, just off the coast of southern Mexico. That's where the antipode of that 5.9 earthquake is in the Indian Ocean. It is southern Mexico right here. One of my family members asked me, does anybody know where the antipode of that earthquake was in the Indian Ocean? I just showed you. The antipode is all the way over, literally in a different world. The antipode for that earthquake is right here, just off the coast of southern Mexico. Now there has been talk and I have yet to see it. There has been talk of an antipode quake, meaning an exact same magnitude quake showing up on the other side of the world at the antipode. Okay? So far we have not had another 5.9 earthquake hit, and not in South Mexico, even off the coast like it said it was supposed to be. It has not happened. I have never seen an antipode quake yet. In the 4.5 years that I've been doing this work, I have not seen an antipode quake yet. Just to tell you. Okay? I don't want anybody to get their shorts in a knot. I don't want anybody to get excited or get their feelings hurt or wonder what happened. Okay? It's a big deal. It really is, honestly, a big deal. Now, I want to show you something else that I found last night. And to me, this is a very interesting phenomenon that happens during rocket launches. During a rocket launch. Last night, SpaceX launched their Falcon 9 rocket carrying, I think, 56 Starlink satellites to orbit. Just about, and this was at 1 minute and 11 seconds after launch. 1 minute and 11 seconds after launch. The rocket went supersonic. Look what it created in the atmosphere. Florida had been hot. Anybody down there in Florida today knows it was hot, even last night. But as the rocket went through the sound area, that's what it created. Okay? It was created by light refraction and also moisture in the air as it broke the sound barrier. Okay? I've never before caught that on any camera. I've never before seen that done by a rocket ship. I've heard people talk about it, but that's the first time I have ever seen it. I thought it was cool and I wanted to show it to you. That happened last night, late last night. In fact, while I was watching, I was falling asleep. And then all of a sudden I saw that, I'm going, oh my gosh, gotta have that. Gotta have that. So I copied it. Then there's something else that I hope you can see in my visualization here. This is that same rocket launch. Oh, shoot. Okay, let me show it to you. That's the same rocket launch. Okay, the thrusters of the first stage of the great big huge rocket was putting out propellant, wasn't it? On its way to space. Look at the colors. There are reds, there's blues, there's yellows and oranges, browns. I thought that was really cool. I've never seen this either. Okay? Just something else that was kind of nifty last night. Now, there's a few things that I want to discuss with you today. Things that might happen. Things that might happen other than earthquakes. Down here in literally southern Mexico. This is right next to Guatemala, just off the coast. There's a 4.0 magnitude earthquake here. Again, it's a very shallow quake. 10 kilometers deep, 6.2 miles deep. In normal situations, that's nothing to worry about. But where's it at? It's down here on the Cocos Plate. And folks, as it turns out, we should be very wary of what's going on there. Why am I saying that, you ask? Look at all these earthquakes in southern Mexico. Look at all those earthquakes in southern Mexico. Inquiring minds want to know, don't they? Tons of earthquakes in southern Mexico. Look at that one there. It says 50 plus. 50 plus, guys. Why? What happened? What happened? Let's go over there and take a look. Okay? Now, here's one earthquake in the Honduras. Okay? This is a 2.7 earthquake. That is actually where that 50 circle was. The Honduras, 2.7 earthquake. Well, guys, guess what? See the 20 plus earthquake symbol right there? Just offshore there, in that area of the port, that harbor. What is this? Can anybody tell me what this is? We've seen this before. Can anybody tell me what that is? What are they doing there? What are they doing there? When have we seen that happen before? For those of you that have been with me a long time, where have we seen this before and why? Yes, Richard, it is a grid pattern. Why would we have a grid pattern? Can anybody tell me? We talked about this one day last week. Why would we have a grid pattern? Exactly, Aubrey. DUMBs. Deep underground military bombings. They're detonating tunnels. I wish Larry Smith was here to see this. He would be kind of blown away. He would be kind of blown away. This is offshore Honduras. This is a 2.9. Okay? That's a 2.9, 3.1 miles deep. 3.1 miles deep. Okay? I'm going to pick another one. That's a 2.5. That is also 2.5 miles deep. They're all in that bay, guys. They're all in that bay. Okay, see that? One more. They say this is close to Nicaragua. St. Julia Santa Julia Chinandega, Nicaragua. A 2.5. I'm sorry, doggone it. A 2.5 magnitude earthquake. Okay? Let's take a look at it. Again, 2.5 miles deep. They're taking out underground tunnels. deep underground military bases. They're destroying them. Anytime we see this grid pattern anywhere, they're destroying underground military bases. This time in Central America. Central America. Right here we have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, just a second, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22 earthquakes in this sequence right here. Deep underground military bases being knocked out. No, it's not drilling. Well, actually it is. They have taken these great big huge tunnel diggers and dug in under the ocean there. Literally, underneath the ocean. Now they're destroying those tunnels. They're totally destroying the tunnels now. Then south of the tunnels, La Pozas, Chinega, Nicaragua. This is a volcano. It's a 2.5 magnitude earthquake over there in Nicaragua. Guess what? A volcano. A volcano. And that volcano just happened to erupt the other day. Kind of interesting, huh? Then we have these earthquakes offshore. Okay? In the Pacific. Offshore El Salvador 2.9. This one is 20.5 miles deep. 20.5 miles deep. Okay? And I'm not going to hit all of them. I'm just going to give you a good idea of what we have here. Okay? A 2.9, a 3.3, a 2.8, 2.7, 2.7, and a 2.6. Minor earthquakes just off the coast of Nicaragua. Just minor earthquakes. Yet over in that harbor area, what did we see? Deep underground military bases being destroyed. That's what they're doing there. And there's 50 plus earthquakes. There's 50 plus earthquakes over there. +50 earthquakes. It's been a while since we've seen that. We just got through talking about DUMBs before. Okay? So now you've seen this again. Okay? Now you've seen it again. We haven't seen it in maybe 2 years. The last time I saw it was over off of Vancouver Island and over in Spain. And over on the border of the US and Mexico. We saw it there as well. But now we've seen it over in the Honduras and Nicaragua area. Okay, now I want to show you what's going on over in the Riviera area of southern Mexico. Okay? 3.8 earthquake. 3.8, 3.8, and a 3.3. This area is Manzanillo, and Acapulco, and Zihuatanejo.
Location Minahasa, Sulawesi, Indonesia. Last night magnitude 4.2, 10 minutes ago.
4.2 in Sulawesi, Indonesia, 20 minutes ago. That's what we have going, guys. Okay? In that resort area right there, Acapulco, Manzanillo, Zihuatanejo, that whole area there. It's a resort area of Mexico. Okay? And then just up the way from it, where we don't have any earthquakes at all, is Puerto Vallarta. Puerto Vallarta. Okay? Interesting. It's interesting. Now, Rob 52 and I talked about earthquakes in Southern California earlier this afternoon. Look at this. Earthquakes in California. What is wrong with this picture? Guys, I'm asking you, what do you think is going on with this picture? With all of these earthquakes here. You see all the earthquakes down there in Southern California, but how about those going up the coastline of Northern California? What do you think is happening there? Okay? Most of these are along the San Andreas Fault. Just off the coast west of the San Andreas, this is Cambria, California. This is the Oceanic Fault. This is also 1.33 tremor on the Oceanic Fault zone. Just north of there, this is just south of Monterey, in what we call the Pinnacles. The Pinnacles, guys, sits on top of the San Andreas Fault here. It just happens to be an oil and gas pumping operation. Right here, right there. An oil and gas pumping operation, that was a 1.2, and we also have a 1.8 magnitude tremor there as well, at the Pinnacles. Okay? It's on the San Andreas Fault right there. Then we go over here to Monterey Bay, just north and east of there is Lexington Hills. Lexington Hills. This is a 1.58. Right next to the San Andreas Fault. And then just a little bit east, we have an earthquake on the Hayward Fault. This earthquake is in Seven Trees, California. It's a 1.59. The Hayward Fault, guys. The Hayward Fault is still active, and it's still producing earthquakes. Then,
Well, I love you. No.
sorry, a little Caesars commercial. I have those popping up all the time. I can't get rid of them. Anyway, over in the northeast San Francisco Bay Area, Vallejo, California, we have a 2.2. That's not on the San Andreas Fault, it's on the Hayward. It's up there on the Hayward Fault there. Then, what do we have up here? We have a whole slew of earthquakes up here. What is this? This is the geysers. The geysers. Men have drilled into the upper magma chambers of this lake right here to pull steam out of that volcano to power turbines to generate electricity in the Sonoma Valley, California area, Sonoma County. Sonoma County. Guess what? That's one of them. It's a 1.05 tremor. Yes, we see a lot of tremors over here in the geysers area. Sometimes we see as many as 25 or 30 tremors to earthquakes, meaning 1.0 all the way up to 3.0 earthquakes. Yes, we've seen that many right here in the geysers area. So men have drilled into the upper magma chambers of this lake right here, this lake being a volcano, to obtain steam to power turbines to generate electricity for Pacific Gas and Electric and other energy conglomerates, including the energy conglomerate that sells electricity to Salt Lake City residents. Okay? And we sometimes have fires as a result of Pacific Gas and Electric equipment not functioning properly. That has happened. That's happened. It's happened all too frequently. It's happened way, way too frequently. Look at that. That's 2 banks of turbines at this facility there in the geysers. And that facility, folks, is right near 2 of those earthquakes as well. It's right near 2 of those earthquakes. Oh, darn it. Right in the middle. Okay? It's right there. Right there. Yes, they have issues. Because they've dug so many holes in the ground there. Those holes in the ground are man-made earthquake faults. That's why we have earthquakes there. Okay? It'll always be that way. Now, we go north. This time we go over to the southern part of the Cascadia subduction zone, the region. The southern part of the Cascadia subduction zone region. Today, over in Fortuna, California, we had a 2.11 earthquake. A 2.11 earthquake over here in Fortuna. Now, let me back this out on this map so you can see what I'm talking about on the San Andreas map. Or I mean on the USGS map. It's right there. Why did this earthquake occur? Because just about 3-4 months ago, right off the coast there, we had an 8.0 magnitude earthquake hit here. An 8.0 magnitude earthquake hit here, just off the coast. It caused a lot of damage all over this region. A ton of damage. 2 people were killed. 2 people were killed because of that. Now, again, earlier this week, I showed you the earthquakes here in Southern California. San Diego County. I showed you the Imperial Valley down here north of the Mexican border. I even showed you a couple earthquakes that are south of the Mexican border. Why they hit. Okay? We have an awful lot of earthquakes here, don't we? A ton of them. Why are they happening? Why are they happening? Why are we not showing more earthquakes over here in the Pacific Northwest? Okay? This one, folks, USBS has this as an explosion. Granite Falls, Washington. An explosion. Okay? What do you think happened here? Let's zoom in on it. Let's kind of come to a conclusion ourselves. Okay? It's not a quarry. There's no evidence of this area being a quarry, is there? How about this being a lava deposit? Yeah, that's what it is. This area is a lava deposit. This was not an explosion. 1 mile east of Granite Falls, Washington. It was not. It wasn't an explosion. It's also a 1/4 of a mile deep. Okay, look at this. This is the nearest quarry over here. Interesting, huh? Now, I'm going to pull this out here because we've seen earthquakes here before. We've seen earthquakes in the Puget Sound area. We've seen earthquakes at volcanoes. That's not the case today. We don't see anything. Okay? We have another explosion over here near Leavenworth. Timberline. Leavenworth, Washington. Yes, we do have a seismograph there. But they say this is a 1.1 magnitude explosion out here 8 miles south of Leavenworth, Washington. Okay? Zooming in, what do you think happened here? What do you think really happened here? It doesn't appear to me to be anything related to a quarry, does it? Are they harvesting trees? Maybe combustus spontaneous coniferous or spontaneous coniferous combustus, whatever, exploding trees. Possibly. Doubtful, but possible. Folks, this is 7/10 of a mile deep. This was not an explosion. Sorry, it's not. It's a 1.1 tremor out here. This is a tectonic quake. Nothing else happening here in Washington, is there? Folks, I told you we were going to talk about Cascadia. I told you we were going to talk about preparedness. Now, when that magnificent, huge, spontaneous Cascadia megathrust earthquake happens, what do you think is going to happen? Can anybody tell me what do you think is going to happen when that earthquake hits? There's actually 2 answers I'm looking for. Space Force Alice said people can combust spontaneously. Oh yeah, not likely. Yeah, it's been hot out. Totally get that. Catherine Sigerson is saying in the chat, giving me a partial answer to what I'm looking for here. After that huge 9.0, 10.0 magnitude earthquake hits over there just off the coast of Seattle, Tacoma area, right in this area right here. Right here you see the Cascadia megathrust earthquake fault. The subduction fault, the Cascadia subduction fault is right there. Just out to the west, we have the Juan de Fuca fault. This is where, in this area between the Cascadia subduction zone and the Juan de Fuca, is where we believe that 8.0, 9.0, 10.0 earthquake is going to be. up here in the Pacific Northwest. What's going to happen? Beth Wolf says subduction. Absolutely right. That's definitely going to happen. Why? Because, folks, the Pacific Plate, represented by my left hand here, the Pacific Plate is subducting under the North American continent. The North American continent is being pushed by what? The Atlantic Plate. The center of the Atlantic Plate, folks, is expanding. The center of the Atlantic Plate here, this huge undersea gorge under the Atlantic, it's expanding. It's pushing over here to the east on Africa. Over here on the west, it's pushing on the east coast, the North American Plate. I showed you the other day, I believe it was Wednesday, I showed you earthquakes occurring on the east coast as a result of the Atlantic Plate and the forces involved there. Anywhere from 1.0s all the way up to 3.5, 4.0s here on the Eastern Continental Divide. Okay? So we've seen it. As a result of that pressure from the East Coast and pressure from the west, we have the Pneumatid Fault that's moving to the north and to the south. It's being squished as a result of the East Rib Zone, like you call it, okay? The Blue Ridge Mountains, the Appalachian Mountains, being pushed to the west, the Continental Divide being pushed to the west, putting tremendous pressure on the Pneumatid. The Pneumatid is also getting hammered over here from the west coast. All that seismic energy from the west coast is being pushed to the east. Pushed to the east. And as that happens, more and more pressure is building up here on the Pneumatid Fault. That's why we have the earthquakes hitting. Now, one other thing. We have seismic energy coming up to the Pneumatid area from the south. From South and Central America. And also pressure coming from a volcano in the Gulf of California, or not the Gulf of California, the Gulf of Mexico here. Folks, we have a volcano here. If anybody has not even seen it here, yes, we have a volcano here. And it's also putting pressure on the Pneumatid Fault, creating earthquakes and tremors all up and down the fault. I showed you seismograms of that on Wednesday. Yes, it is happening. Going back here to the west coast. We have seismic energy coming out of Alaska. That seismic energy comes from over here on the west side of the Pacific. Okay? It starts way down here. Starts way down here in the South Pacific, and it leaves the South Pacific here and goes over to the west like this. Vanuatu here, we're still getting earthquakes. Okay, still happening. This is the 4.8 moderate earthquake, 5.9 miles deep. This is a 4.8 here, 52 miles deep. This is the Solomon Islands. This is a 4.4. This is 40 miles deep. Okay? So the South Pacific is putting pressure on everything to the west, isn't it? Yeah, it is. This is also one of the biggest subduction zones in the world. 7 different plates down here in the Western Pacific here. The Southwestern Pacific. 7 different plates subducting, one under the other in this region. That's why we're seeing all those earthquakes that I showed you here. Subduction, and it's been ongoing for hundreds of years. The largest subduction zone in the world is right here. That's why we have so many earthquakes. Subduction zone includes Hawaii, Samoa, Fiji, Vanuatu, the Loyalty Islands, all that area going all the way over here to Myanmar. And up to the Philippines. 7 different plates pushing, creating stress. That stress, folks, goes up the west side of the Pacific. For example, here. This is Hokkaido, Japan. Today, folks, this is a 4.7 moderate earthquake. A 4.7 moderate earthquake over here in Hokkaido. Okay? Now, we're not showing any more earthquakes so far in the Kuril Islands between Hokkaido and the Kamchatka Peninsula, but they're not showing the volcanoes either, are they? There's 4 volcanoes on the Kamchatka Peninsula, 2 of which are erupting. Klyuchevskoy and that great big huge volcano. Okay? What is that huge volcano on Kamchatka Peninsula? 2 years ago it erupted up to 73,000 feet high. 73,000 feet. That's huge. That's huge. That volcano was mentioned in Volcano Discovery today, earlier today. Okay? Those 2 volcanoes are erupting still. It's going to happen for a while. We still have a volcano over here in the Alaska Peninsula, the southwesternmost part of the Aleutian Islands here. Shishalin volcano, a 22,000 foot eruption today. 22,000 foot eruption today. It's not the first time, probably won't be the last. And you see earthquakes going right up the center of Alaska. Yeah, that's kind of how we usually see it. That's what's happening in Alaska. Now this is something else we talked about the other night. Okay? This is over on the western portion of Alaska here. At the very top of the Alaska Peninsula here. This is a large 5.0 earthquake in Alaska. No, we haven't seen a large 5.0 here since I've been doing this. We've seen large earthquakes hit northern from there up in Anchorage, but not down here next to Mount Redoubt. I'm sorry, not Mount Redoubt, Mount Old Iliamna Volcano. Okay? Mount Redoubt is further up here. Right up here. Okay? But a 5.0 here, just north of Old Iliamna Volcano. Okay? Happened earlier this afternoon. It caught a lot of people by surprise. Okay? But what do you think is going to happen? We have energy coming over here from the Northwest Pacific, from Kamchatka. Before that, it was down in the South Pacific of Tonga and Samoa, Vanuatu, Fiji, that whole area. It's made the full tour around the outside of the Ring of Fire. The Ring of Fire is composed of volcanoes. That's why they call it a Ring of Fire. On both sides of the Pacific. The West Pacific over here, volcanoes just covering the Ring of Fire over here in the west. Kamchatka Peninsula, going down the Kuril Islands over here, Japan, the Philippines, going further down here into Indonesia. A lot of volcanoes all over the place. We have volcanoes down here in Vanuatu. We have volcanoes down here in Samoa and Tonga. We have volcanoes down here in Indonesia, not Indonesia, New Zealand, that they're not even telling us about. How dare they do that to us? Okay? We have volcanoes over here in South America. They're hardly telling us about any earthquakes here. Just over here in Chile, Brazil, Bolivia, Argentina area, we've had 15 earthquakes here. They're showing us 2 over here in northern Peru here. That's a 4.7, 25 kilometers deep. Actually, not kilometers, 25 miles deep. And this one here in Ecuador. This is another 4.8. Guess what, guys? This is 86 miles deep. That's a deep earthquake. What is going on? Why are we having these earthquakes? Yes, the earth is changing. We have continental drift. We have a pole shift going on. We have planetary alignments out in space. We have CMEs being launched from the sun that have a direct influence on Earth. A lot of stuff going on. Are we ready? How are we prepared? Do we even realize what we need to do? I sometimes wonder. A lot of people talk about everything but what we're discussing here on this show. Sometimes it makes me wonder whether what we're talking about is of any importance to anyone. More and more earthquakes every day. More and more volcanoes erupting every day. More and more storms. Tornadoes, specifically right now. We had one of our mods has a hurricane named after him, and it didn't even reach shore. It's petered out in the North Pacific. Hurricane Dawn. Petered out, tuckered out, went to sleep in the North Atlantic Ocean. This is just supposed to be right now where we're having some of the worst hurricane nightmares. Yet we have not seen one hurricane blow in here to the south as of yet. And now I said that, look out. I think I just jinxed us. I think I just jinxed us. Folks, we have all sorts of things happening. A ton of stuff happening. Guys, I want to talk about Cascadia. More than anything, I want to give you an update on what I think Cascadia is doing. I've shown you seismograms of events that happened over at Mount Baker. Events that have happened at Mount Rainier, Glacier Peak. I've shown you seismograms of what's happening at Mount St. Helens, Mount Hood. I've shown you Crater Lake. I've shown you Mount Lassen. I've shown you Shasta. I've shown you Mammoth, Long Valley. I've shown you what's happening over in eastern Los Angeles at Walnut La Puente. Yes, that's a caldera. That volcano is starting to wake up. I've shown you evidence of what's going on over at the Salton Butte volcano, the Salton Sea, down over in the Imperial Valley just south of the Salton Sea as well. It's all active. It's very, very, very active. What do you think's going to happen? And why? Are you ready for what's happening, guys? Okay? See this area here. Darn it. Okay? I'm going to have to take this down as I do every night. Folks, on the west coast of the United States, we have one of the longest coasts of any country in the world. One of the longest coastlines of any country in the world, anywhere. No one can match ours. Nor have they tried, nor will they. They can't. It's impossible. From up here in the Pacific Northwest, yes, we have issues. Does anybody realize what's going on here in the Pacific Northwest? What have we talked about? Yesterday we showed you quakes happening at the volcanoes. I showed you the slow slip, that there's a lot more earthquakes at the slow slip than they say there are. Yeah, a lot more. What's going on? Jeanette says, I'm putting my trust in the Lord. Well, folks, Jeanette, I hate to tell you, but that's not the only thing you should be doing. Faith without works is dead, as the scriptures say. If you're going to survive what is going to happen, you need to try to help yourselves. We talked to you about food. Putting together your own food supply. Possibly using emergency freeze-dried food as well. Such as this right here. 4 Patriots 72-hour kit. We talked about this before. Yes, you could do that. You could get enough food in your home where you have at least 3 days to 3 weeks to 6 months worth of food. And I am also pressing everybody to get a year's supply of food and water. Food and water. Beth Wolf says the plates are moving. You're darn right they are. You're absolutely right. The plates are moving. There is going to be a Cascadia megathrust earthquake in our future. There's going to be a Cascade earthquake in the mountains of the Cascade Mountains, from Northern California up to and including southern British Columbia. There's going to be an earthquake there. 4.5 to 5.5 earthquakes. 2 of them within a very short time. That's going to be one of our kickoffs, one of the keys to say, hey, the Cascadia megathrust earthquake is coming. What are you going to do about it? Are you going to sit and worry that something's going to happen? Or are you going to be prepared for it? Have you gotten your food supply in? Are you rotating your food so you have fresh food to eat all the time? Have you started saving water? Storing your own water? Rob52 says, you folks that have water heaters here, you have 50 gallons of fresh water in that water heater. All you have to do to make sure you have 50 gallons of fresh water is to turn off the pilot light. Turn off the pilot light. Then you go up to the top of the water heater and there's a valve with a crank on it. Looks like an outdoor water hose. Okay? Turn it off too. That way, if you have a water supply problem outside your home, water outside your home has been contaminated, you just turn it off at the top of the water heater, turn off your heat at the bottom of the water heater, and you have 50 gallons of water right there. That should not be your only choice, though. That should not be your only choice. The other choice is to start putting your own water supply together. I have. I've got 6 months worth of water for my dogs, for my 4-legged family members, and yes, I treat them just like my family, like every other member of my family, and they're good kids. And I've got 6 months worth of water for me. And I believe I've got very close to 6 months worth of food as well, or more. I'm asking everyone to have a year's supply or as close to it as possible. FEMA, back in about 2014, was asking people to get a 72-hour kit. I mentioned this on the air before. For those people that haven't been on the air with me very long, FEMA was asking people to have a 72-hour kit. They polled all of the emergency managers around the United States and asked us one question. Do any of you have a 72-hour kit? As it turns out, only 25% of emergency managers here in the United States had a 72-hour kit. Why? Laziness. They should have been fired. Every emergency manager throughout the United States, counties, cities, towns, our primary job is to help other people in our area be prepared. So, those emergency managers aren't doing their job. And as a result, when we have an emergency in those areas, those people have no clue what's going on. They don't have a backup supply of food. They don't have a backup supply of water. They don't have an emergency kit. For those of you that want to know the difference between your food supply and emergency kit, on this very program right now, right below the video right now, in our website, folks, in the files sharing area, we have a lot of files there. Emergency kits, emergency planning. I am giving you all that information for free. I have been paid hundreds of dollars to go out and give talks about emergency preparedness. I used to charge $50 a piece for everybody at those talks because I had to get a venue to speak at, I had to fly over there to talk to them, and I had to have a hotel and pay for my food while I was there. So I charged $50 an hour for each one of those talks. Usually I was there a lot longer than that because people had questions and I stayed to answer their questions. Folks, I'm giving it to you for free. Things that you need to have. Please, folks, use that information for yourselves and your families. Don't hesitate. Because what is going to happen when that Cascadia megathrust earthquake hits? What do you think is going to happen when that earthquake hits right here? Right off the coast of northern Washington. The Cascadia subduction zone and the Juan de Fuca Fault. What's going to happen? This whole area is going to get destroyed. This whole area here is going to get destroyed. And I'm not talking about just Washington. I'm talking about Vancouver. I'm talking about Queen Charlotte Island. I'm talking about everybody up here in Alaska. Yes, they're going to feel it as well. That seismic energy is going to flow through the earthquake faults. Through the connecting earthquake faults, these people up here are also going to feel it. What's going to happen down here? Oregon, California. What's going to happen down here? They are also going to feel it. They are also going to feel it. Folks, some 2+ years ago now, probably close to 3+ years ago, December 23rd, I think it was 2020, there was a meeting of geological people in San Francisco. Chris Goldfinger, professor of geology at Oregon State University, spoke there. For those of you that have been with me all this time, I told you what's going to happen. Chris Goldfinger said that that energy from way up here way up here in northern Washington, it's going to come down the entire Cascadia subduction zone. I'm sorry, my sinuses are going crazy on me. That seismic energy is going to leave where it hit up in the Juan de Fuca Cascadia subduction zone region. It's going to come down here to the triple junction, where the Cascadia megathrust earthquake fault, the subduction zone, comes down here to the Gorda escarpment and the San Andreas fault. What's going to happen here? That energy is going to continue going south, guys. Every town, every city, every major city, up and down the entire coast of California is going to be inundated with shaking. With shaking. It's going to come from the triple junction all the way down here in North California, all the way down here to San Francisco. What's going to happen to San Francisco? It's going to get annihilated. What is it? 4 million people live here in San Francisco Bay Area? They're going to get beat up. If you didn't see Dwayne Johnson's San Andreas movie, maybe you should. Yes, there's been a theatrical addition to it, so it makes it even more interesting. It makes it look even more dangerous. Well, guess what? It's not far off. It's not far off. San Francisco is going to get nailed. And every fault zone, every ancillary fault zone from the San Andreas Fault is going to get nailed. All the way up and down the entire coastline is going to get nailed. Okay? All the way down here. This is Cambria, California. North up here is the pinnacles we talked about. It's going to carry all that seismic energy south. Every city, every town is going to get nailed by seismic energy. It's going to destroy the entire coastline of California, Washington, and Oregon. Within 5 miles of the Interstate 5. And I'm going to apply that to Los Angeles as well. If you're not east of the Interstate 5 in California, you need to get there. Because I'm not done talking about the Cascadia subduction zone earthquake. It's going to inundate California, Los Angeles area. Yes, the Cascadia, or excuse me, the San Andreas Fault goes inland here on the east side of Los Angeles. It's still going to destroy Los Angeles and all the other ancillary faults here in that valley. The San Fernando Valley, the Los Angeles Basin. This whole area is going to get nailed. The San Andreas Fault goes down the east side of the Salton Sea here. It hits here about 3/4 the way down the southeast side of the Salton Sea, where it comes up with another place called Bombay Beach. Bombay Beach is inextricably connected to the Salton Butte volcano. Every day we see good-sized quakes, good-sized earthquakes, and I'm talking 3.0 to 4.0 earthquakes here every day. Bombay Beach. The San Andreas Fault goes underneath the Salton Sea and comes back out just on the south side of it. Then it takes and makes a southwesterly turn. It makes a southwesterly turn, guys, down on the south end of the Salton Sea. What happens then? What happens to the San Andreas Fault? It goes in a westerly direction. It moves in a westerly direction. Sorry, I kicked my camera stand. It moves in a southwesterly direction down the southern end of the Salton Sea. It comes out from underneath the Salton Sea near Nyland or Calipatria, California, where we've shown you good-sized earthquakes there. A lot of earthquakes. Goes down towards Westmoreland. Then it makes another turn in the southerly direction. Goes all the way through Imperial. It goes all the way down to Holtville. It goes all the way down to northern Mexico. You can see it here. You can see the San Andreas Fault going all the way down here to the Gulf of California. This whole area is going to shake like it's never shaken before. No one is alive now that lived during the Cascadia megathrust earthquake before. 325 years ago. 1700. Folks, if you don't know it already, and you live on the west coast of Canada and the United States, the Cascadia megathrust earthquake zone is the largest earthquake zone in the world. It runs 1,900 miles down the entire length of the west coast of North America. 1,900 miles down the west coast of North America. Millions of people live here. Millions of people live here. And not only are we going to have an earthquake of the century, earthquake of 3 centuries, 300 years. Then after the ground stops shaking the first time, 15 to 20 minutes later, we're going to have a tsunami. A tsunami where the water is at least 50 to 150 feet deep. Not just one wave, but multiple waves. Probably 20 or 30 waves. All that water clearing the beach after the earthquake. The beach is cleared of water. The water goes out into the middle of the ocean where the earthquake originated, where the ocean bottom dropped out. The water moves out there. It comes out there, and then it turns into a huge wave, and it makes its way back to the beaches. Not just one, but multiple waves, over and over and over again. I'm talking Alaska, Canada, the United States, and all the way down to Mexico. This whole coastline, guys, the entire coastline of North America is a subduction zone. That's why we're going to have a tsunami. Your inkling of when the tsunami starts is going to be about 15 minutes after you see the earthquake stop and the water leaving the beach line, the coastline. 15 or 20 minutes later, you're going to get nailed with a 50 to 150 foot high wave, multiple waves. What are you going to do? What are your options? Where are you going to go? Does anybody have any questions? Sweet Polly's saying, what a mess. Oh yeah, it's going to be a mess. What people and buildings were destroyed by the earthquake will be destroyed by the tsunami. You guys thought Turkey was bad when it got hit with that 9.0, 10.0 earthquake months ago? That is what we are going to be subject to in a very short time period. Folks, I don't know when it's going to come. I don't. Terry Rempel and I had plotted it out. Terry thought he knew. Well, guess what? Neither he nor I know the time when this is going to happen. But we've got some really good scientific information that gives us an idea what can happen and an overall general idea when it will. When is everyone here going to get prepared? I don't want to be sitting here tonight putting the finishing touches on social media posts of this program, and then all of a sudden hear that we've had a Cascadia megathrust earthquake tonight. And having people call me, Ron, we just got hit. Or you call me and the phone call doesn't go through. Or I hear your voice and all of a sudden the line goes dead. That's what's going to happen. Your cell phones will be cut off when the cell towers go down. You might be able to text message me and say, Ron, we've had a Cascadia megathrust earthquake. What do we do? Folks, I've been telling you what to do. 1, get emergency food. Now is the time to do it. Food prices have skyrocketed. I am paying 3 times the price for food than I did this time last year. 3 times the price of food than I paid even last year. Prices are skyrocketing. Our gas prices today are upwards of 50 cents higher than they were last week. 50 cents higher per gallon since last week. That's insanity. Is your tank full so you can get the heck out of Dodge when you have to? Is your gas tank full? If not, make sure you do. Now, someone else made a good statement, and it's absolutely true too. Okay? Richard Smith over on the East Coast in Nova Scotia. He made a statement here. The Cascadia will affect the East too. Richard, you're absolutely right. Rob, you're absolutely right. Rob's down there near Phoenix. Is Rob going to feel that? Yep. It might not be as strong as a 10.0 earthquake because that energy traveled 1,900 miles to get to him. But it might be a 4.0 or 5.0 earthquake by the time it reaches California and Arizona. And as that seismic energy goes throughout the entire United States and Canada, from west to east, we're going to hear church bells in Washington, in Morganton, North Carolina, in Nova Scotia, Canada. Church bells are going to ring because the ground is shaking. As soon as the Cascadia megathrust earthquake hits, within minutes to hours, the entire continent, the entire North American craton is going to explode in shaking. Then the tsunami is going to hit the coast within 15 or 20 minutes after that. Entire cities are going to be swallowed up with water. People in upper stories of buildings might survive. If their buildings survived after the initial quake. What happens with aftershocks? More shaking, more damage, more buildings destroyed, homes destroyed. Great big huge fissures in the earth open up. If you don't have a four-wheel drive, you're not going to be able to go anywhere. Okay? I've shown you earthquakes here. Right here on the West Coast, there almost are none. Up here in the north, there's almost none. Why? Because this stupid butthead agency doesn't want to get off their hindquarters and show everybody what exactly is going on. And I can show that to you. I can pull seismograms every day and show you every day what is happening. They can do the same thing too. They can put it on their maps. Mr. and Mrs. Joe Bojangles, guess what? You had an earthquake here. Ron and Debbie, you had an earthquake here. Larry and Joe, you had an earthquake here. Mr. and Mrs. Simpsons, you had an earthquake here. Guys, the agency's not going to tell you because they're not going to do it. They're being told by the politicians not to tell you. That way you have no inkling when it's going to happen, because they're not giving you any information, because they don't want the politicians don't want anyone to evacuate the cities right now. Heaven forbid, because they would be without a job. Nobody's living in those towns? Guess what? The politicians that govern that area will be out of a job. They'll be in bread lines because they've also not saved in their money or made a food storage plan. They don't have water. They're going to die because they had the audacity to tell USGS not to say anything to anybody. And nobody prepares. Not the politicians, not us, not nobody. I'm not a nobody. I'm a somebody, so are you. You have a right to that information. You have a right to that information, and we continue giving that information to you every day. That's what this program is for. Getting prepared. Getting prepared. If you're not doing it, you're only cutting your own throat. Janelle's in the chat. If you are in the areas that slip into the ocean, hard decisions need to be made. Waiting for the event is too late. You must act early. Distance from the event is the only solution. You're right. But one part of what you said is wrong. Land is not going to slide into the ocean. The ocean is going to come and get you. The tsunami is going to come over the landmass. The tsunami won't stay for any long length of time, but you're going to get blasted with 150 foot or 50 to 150 foot of water. Yeah. And just like 325 years ago, Japan is going to see the tsunami as well, just like it did 325 years ago. That's why we have records of what it did to them. It's going to do that again. The American Indians also kept good records. They thought a great big huge bird had landed on the shore and caused the ground to shake. Scientists have been over there along the coast and found great big huge areas where the trees are dead. Great big stands of trees not bearing leaves and black in color. Why? Because the tsunami came in there and inundated that area with salt water. It killed the trees. And I think there's a lot more to that story than that. The SO2, the sulfur dioxide from the magma at the volcanoes, also killed off tree stands that fell over because of the SO2 in the soil, killing the trees. Are you prepared? If not, why not? Are you going to get prepared? I certainly hope so, brothers and sisters. This is about your lives and the lives of your children and your grandchildren. This is about all of us, and I kid you not. This is not just about me. It's about each and every one of us. Yeah, we had an earthquake in Fortuna, California. An aftershock of a major earthquake off the coast of Northern California several months ago. It's going to happen again. It's going to. I just want to make sure we've told you so that you have access to that information, so you can get prepared. I've talked a lot about this. 4 Patriots Foods. I've talked a lot about this. Why? Because I believe, 1, in the product. 2, the product is excellent. Good tasting meals. They are filling meals to the point some of these meals could last you 2 different meals. 2 different meals. And it's not just meals, guys, it's snacks as well. It's snacks as well. So you're getting snacks, you're getting meals for 3 days. Okay? You can do this. Call them. Call 4 Patriots and tell them that Ron Tyler at Emergency Management Associates told you to call and get emergency food. Supplies aren't going to last because of everything that's going on. Politics in our communities are horrible. They're deplorable. Four Patriots Food, guys. The telephone number for 4 Patriots Food is 800-607-0943. Call 4 Patriot Food. 800-607-0943. And tell them that I asked you to call to get your emergency supplies, and ask them to send you a catalog of everything they have. I have quite a bit of those emergency products myself. Okay? I've shown you the food, the 72-hour kit. I've got the Halo XT flashlight. Folks, this is also a solar panel that can charge this flashlight. This is also lights here. There's a deck of lights here that can help illuminate your paper or your engine compartment, so you can work on your car in an emergency. Okay? It's also got a knife here. A knife here, right here. This knife here, it'll open letters. It'll cut paper. It'll also cut your seatbelt if you get stuck in your car. That's how sharp that is. Over on this other side, guess what I have here? Right here. I've got a glass break right here. I've got a glass break. If I'm in my car and it goes into the water someplace, and my car starts filling up with water, all I have to do is tap this on the glass, and the glass will shatter, and I can swim out of my car. Yeah, right here. See this aluminum dot here? That's a magnet. You can put this on your refrigerator. You can put this on your dashboard of your car. Anywhere where there's a piece of steel, you'll be able to handle it and hang it in your car, so it's readily accessible. It can be charged via a USB port right there. A USB port right here. And guess what? It'll also charge your cell phone. You can also charge your cell phone. And not just that. Guess what else I've got? I've got a compass. I have a compass here. It goes on the end of this flashlight right here. I have a flashlight. All of those things here, and not just a flashlight, guys. This is a 3-in-1 light. It's got a good flashlight beam. It's also got an extended beam. All I have to do is push this button on the side right here one more time, and this light will go into a very bright, very almost eye-damaging light, and will illuminate the light of the road or wherever you're at for almost a mile. That's how strong that bright light is. It also has the ability to flash in an emergency, to let other people know that you're having a problem and you need help. All of that built into one flashlight, the Halo XT flashlight. Okay? I've talked about a lot of other things that I've gotten from 4 Patriots. Okay? Nutritious food, protein shakes, protein drinks. You mix up a tablespoon of it in your water, you have protein that you might not otherwise have. And it's good tasting too. I've got a lot of stuff they have. It's not just food. Folks, I'm asking you to get prepared, whatever it takes. I've got 10 more minutes here to talk. Folks, this is of utmost importance. If you're located east of the Cascades, east of the Cascade Mountain volcanoes, and head north to the Idaho Panhandle, east and north to the Idaho Panhandle and the Canadian Rockies border. The Oregon area is relatively safe. The Oregon area is in a relatively safe zone. It's bordered by Highway 199 to the west, Highway I-5 to the east. The east entry point is Cave Junction. The north entry is through Grants Pass on Highway 238. Highway 238 is also the west entry point. By either taking West Pine exit from I-5 into Central Point and connecting to Hanley Road Highway 238, or coming up from the south on I-5. You can take the Fern Valley Road exit. The Fern Valley Road exit off of I-5. Turn north on South Pacific Highway. Then take South Stage Road west until it connects to Highway 238. I expect this will be added to the defining of the safe zones. All the routes into this zone likely have advertising for the Oregon Caves via road signage. Okay? I'm just trying to give you some hints. In my opinion, the way to a safer area for most of California is along the western edge of the Sierra Nevada mountains. The way to a safer area for most of California is along the western edge of the Sierra Nevada mountains. I have been there. I have studied seismogram data. I've looked at volcanic risk data and mitigation. I've looked at tsunami damage potentials to be able to give out this advice. And it is just that. It's advice. I can't know ahead of time that the Cascadia megathrust earthquake event, how each area will be affected with very much certainty. I don't know. No one knows. But you have to do your own work. You yourselves have to determine what you're going to do. That's why we've spent many hours to present you with the means of doing your own assessment for your own area. I've done similar work to define individual areas when I was a scout leader, when we went hiking long distances. When I was an adult in Denver, we made some long distance hikes through the Rocky Mountains in Denver. I went boulder skipping in the middle of the dark. Yeah. St. Mary's Glacier in the middle of the dark. It was a full moon. It was in the fall, so it'd cool down. It wasn't half bad. But you have to do your own exploring yourselves. I can only give you ideas. How you prepare for this Cascadia megathrust event yourself is entirely of your own choice. But keep in mind, remember the pioneers we talked about on Monday? The pioneers that left New York City, the east coast of the Carolinas, the east coast of Massachusetts, went through into Iowa, Illinois, Nebraska, stopped at winter quarters fort in Nebraska to get some more supplies, get clothing, and get ready to go over the Rocky Mountains into Salt Lake City and Idaho. You have to do your own work. The pioneers required a specific list of necessities to make a long journey and start over in their new land of the Rocky Mountains. They planned and they prepared. Now, I suggest that is the same potential that you must do, but you need to follow your own advice. That is in your best interest, to follow the lessons that the pioneers have taught us. And it can be so easily learned if we go back to our pioneer ancestors, learn of their stories. I have a book of my pioneer heritage over here in my bookcase. My cousins put it together. Actually, I have two books. One of the Warner family. Yes, I have cousins in the Warner family. Family members. Grandparents and great-great-great-great-grandparents. I've got the Tyler family and the Davidson family. I've got two great books to look at here. I've also done my own pioneer research. A lot. I know what they did. I know what they encountered at their homesteads. I know what they encountered out on the plains of North America. Coming across the plains, losing family members because of sickness or because of the cold. Burying babies, burying their children that passed away on the way to their new home. They did it. They required a specific list of necessities to make that long journey and start over with their lives. They planned and they prepared. I suggest that is in your best interest to do it. There's too much evidence of what comes for us to face this unprepared. There's a ton of evidence of this. We don't need to face this unprepared. I sincerely pray that you will see the truth and act in your own best interests and the interests of those family members you have. May God bless each and every one of us. Please, folks. Terry wrote that in 2020. I've altered it myself for me and you. Brothers and sisters, I've been there, done that. I want to make sure that you are going to be prepared, that you have oil in your lamps. That you have oil in your lamps. Are you a shepherd of your family? Will your sheep follow you? If not, why? If not, why? Is everybody listening now? I know we were talking about everything under the sun earlier. This is important. Laura Marie says, I do something towards preparedness every day. It's a lifestyle. Laura, you're absolutely right. Preparedness is a lifestyle. If you saw what I have under my stairs right here in my home, preparedness is a lifestyle. Outside in my storage room, I have more preparedness gear that I can load up in the back of my vehicle and be gone. Load up my food, load up my gear, and be gone. That fast. You need to be ready, folks. I'm telling you. I love you, or I wouldn't even spend this time talking about it. There's so much crap in the world going on. In the highest levels of our communities, in our countries. Britain is going to heck in a handbasket. The United States is going to heck in a handbasket. South America and Mexico has already gone to heck in a handbasket, and they can't possibly even get through it. Except those people that prepared. Okay? Please, folks, do it. I pray every day that you will take advantage of everything that we have given you. Make sense out of it for you. I can't give it to you, but the knowledge and the advice, you have to make sense of it for yourselves. I can read scriptures all day long. I've studied this, guys. They call me a subject matter expert. I've been showing you what's going on with earthquakes in California. I've shown you what's going on in Washington. I've shown you what's going on in the Midwest. I've shown you what's going on the East Coast. That should be giving you enough advice right there. I've shown you what's going on around the world. I've taken an hour and a half of one program to show you what's going on around the world. USGS has no clue. Yes, I still challenge USGS. If there's someone from USGS right now watching our program, wait till morning, call me. Let's have a conversation. Yes, it would be Saturday, but call me. I will be happy to have that conversation. Give us some advice. Tell me the truth so I can put you on this program and let you tell everybody what the truth really is. If you're from USGS, call me in the morning. And I will make every effort to put you on my air so you can tell the public what is going on yourself. Yes, I'm that confident. Folks, I love you. I care about you. I want to thank everybody that contributes to our program with information in the chat, helping each other. In donations to this program, I appreciate each and every one of you. I went and checked our P.O. box and didn't get anything today. There are days I don't get anything at all. I only check it twice a week now, because the rest of the time there's nothing there. Folks, you can send me donations there. You can send cards and letters. I love that kind of thing, and I'll put it on the air and share it with everybody. I've got rocks for my rock collection. I've got special mementos from people from our EMA family. I have every letter that each and every one of you has sent over the past 4 years. I have kept every one of them, because every one of those cards and letters are near and dear to my heart. You are my family. Folks, this platform is still unsubscribing people. Check your subscriptions and make sure you're still subscribed. If you're not, please resubscribe. The 25% of you that aren't subscribed to this program and watch this program, you better be subscribed. You better be subscribed. Folks, we come on this program between 6 and 7 o'clock every weekday. I'm here for you. I try to capture the headlines of what's going on so you can be prepared. I was going to talk a little bit about politics tonight, because the Democrats are running us into the ground. The Democrat communist leaders are running us into the ground. Rob52, thank you for that $10 super chat. God bless you, my dear friend. I appreciate you so much. Rob knows it. He invited me to a group fellowship of men on Friday morning. Well, today was Friday morning and I missed it because I was in with my doctor. I thought, honestly, I'd get back from my doctor in time to join him in these men's fellowship. They have a great time with those guys. Great time. I love those gentlemen as well. Folks, I'm here for you. That's our program. This is a time of repentance. It's a time of changing our ways. It's a time of making preparedness a lifestyle. It's a time, folks, to take charge of your families, to make sure you're on the right path, to make sure you and your children are going to survive, and your grandchildren as well. I love this work. I love this work. I have the greatest satisfaction from helping each and every one of you. It's a great privilege to have you in my life. And I kid you not. Holistic Nurse Ava Marie Griffin just gave us another $10 super chat. Thank you very much. I really appreciate you too. She's been a longtime friend of our program and a friend of mine too. Thank you so much for all you do. We've been friends on Facebook and friends on this channel for quite some time. She's a good nurse. She gives out great advice as well. If you don't have her on Facebook, find her. Find her and follow her. She's great. Folks, we have a lot of things we can do to help each other. Make sure we're all together. Make sure we are all together in line. our thoughts, our speech, and our love, holding us and our families together. Folks, there is no greater joy in life than knowing we're serving our Heavenly Father. Texas Lady just gave us another $10 super chat. Thank you so much, Texas Lady. I appreciate that. Now, I love the Savior. Those of you that have been with me have followed me, and I went from not having a devotional on this program to having devotionals. I was deeply criticized. I lost a lot of family members here on this program because I did devotionals dedicated to the life of Jesus Christ. Laura Marie just gave us another $20 super chat. Thank you, Laura Marie, my dear friend. Laura's been a friend of mine for ages and ages. I love her and her husband and their families. Wonderful, wonderful people. That's what happens when you have friends as family. There's no greater joy in life to having that kind of connection, and I do with a lot of you. I care. Now, I want to take you to Matthew chapter 24. I want to take you on a walk with the Savior. In chapter 24, verse 1, and Jesus went out and departed from the temple, and his disciples came to him for to shew him the buildings of the temple. And Jesus said unto them, See ye not all these things? Verily, verily, I say unto you, there shall not be left here one stone upon another, that shall not be thrown down. Interesting statement here. And as he sat upon the Mount of Olives, the disciples came unto him privately, saying, Tell us, when shall these things be? What shall be the sign of thy coming, and of the end of the world? And Jesus answered and said unto them, Take heed that no man deceive you. Take heed that no man deceive you. For many shall come in my name, saying, I am Christ, and shall deceive many. And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars, and see that ye be not troubled. For all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. For nation shall rise up against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. And there shall be famines and pestilences and earthquakes in diverse places. All these things are the beginning of the sorrows. All these things are the beginning of the sorrows. Jesus said it in no uncertain terms. Then shall they deliver you up to be afflicted, and shall kill you, and ye shall be hated of all nations, for my name's sake. And then shall many be offended, and shall betray one another, and shall hate one another. What kind of land do we live in? And many false prophets shall rise, and shall deceive many. And because iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold. But he that shall endure unto the end, the same shall be saved. And this gospel of the kingdom shall be preached in all the world for a witness unto all nations. And then shall the end come. When ye therefore shall see the abomination of desolation, spoken of by Daniel the prophet. Stand in the holy place. Whoso readeth, let him understand. Stand ye in the holy place. Brothers and sisters, I love you. I love you. I come on the air every day and tell you that. I come on the air every day to show you what we need to be doing, to have a discussion with you so that we can know what we need to do. I ask the Lord to bless you. I ask the Lord to be with you, to always be with you, this day and always. Brothers and sisters, ladies and gentlemen, there is no better time than now to make sure we are ready for whatever happens. Make this be the day. Terry Rempel, welcome to Emergency Management Associates. It's been a long time, brother. Terry, I love you, brother. I love you, brother. Thank you for being here with us. God bless you, Terry. God bless you and your family. God bless all of you. We will be back here on Sunday morning at 12 noon with our Sunday school class we've come to title, Come Follow Me, the Savior Said. We've got a great lesson planned. I hope you guys can join us on this channel Sunday morning at noon. We take Saturdays off now, unless something happens, in which time we will come back on the air to tell you about it as soon as the information becomes available. We could be on the air tonight, tomorrow morning, tomorrow night, but we will be on the air if something happens. Now, brothers and sisters, I put my hands out because I want to touch you. I want you to know who Jesus Christ is. I am not him. I am one of his servants. I have a testimony of Jesus Christ. I know him to be the Savior of the world. I ask the Lord to bless you this day and always. God be with you until we meet again. Again, we'll be back here Sunday at noon with Come Follow Me, the Savior Said. Have a great weekend, folks. God bless you. Thank you, Terry. You can call me anytime. We will see you on the other side. Good night, everybody.